What's up, everybody? Awkward, anxious Jennifer here. And the first thing I wanted to do is to welcome all my new subscribers. I'm sad about why you're here, since I think most of you came from my video about Chronically Jaquie. And if anybody is watching this video and you don't know who Chronically Jaquie was, I'm going to link to her channel up here. She was this amazing chronic illness warrior, and I was really inspired by her channel. So if you haven't heard of her, go check her out. I'm wearing my pink today. Today, May 2nd, is Wear Pink for Chronically Jaquie Day today. And I'm going to dye my hair back to purple, probably tomorrow. But for today, it's still pink in honor of Jaquie. So what I'm trying to do going forward is try to make content that's going to appeal to, people who found me before thanks to my mental health content, and people who might find me coming from Chronically Jaquie, who might suffer from chronic illnesses that may be more physical than mental. Although really, I think chronic physical illnesses and mental illnesses tend to go together a lot. I forgot to look up statistics on that, but pretty sure a lot of people with chronic illnesses also have mental illnesses, and mental illness can be a chronic disability in and of itself, and can also lead to physical problems. I personally have a lot of psychosomatic issues thanks to my mental illness, and I did a video about that a couple months ago when in the middle of the night I was having really bad psychosomatic pain, which is so frustrating because even when I know that it's my brain causing the pain or whatever, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. I can't just say, hey brain, knock it off. But then things for other types of pain don't really help that much either. I think I'm crooked. So anyway, today, as you saw in the title, I wanted to talk about invisible illnesses. Pardon me. That's something that so many people don't understand if you don't deal with it. But I also wanted to let everybody know that more people deal with invisible illnesses than you would expect. So I pulled up some statistics, and I'm going to put links to all the research I talk about in the description box below if you want more information. So one of the things I found out is that, well, here's a description I found of what an invisible illness is. It says, invisible illnesses are conditions patients have that are not obvious when looking at them. Often, people with invisible illness face a lot of prejudice. Others accuse them of faking, lying, or exaggerating their illness. People just don't fully understand what patients with invisible illnesses are going through. And I think a lot of you can relate to that. I don't usually think of myself as having an invisible illness, but between my bipolar disorder, my anxiety, and the sleep apnea that I was recently diagnosed with, I think it's fair to say that I do have invisible illnesses. But let me find, there was a statistic here. Well, one type of invisible illness is chronic fatigue syndrome, which a lot of doctors kind of believe doesn't exist. But around 2.5 million Americans deal with chronic fatigue syndrome, which, as the name implies, is, chronic fatigue, inability to do things in your daily life that you want to do because you just don't have the energy, which I think I might have if the CPAP doesn't help me feel a little bit better. But I think hopefully the CPAP will help. I just got a CPAP for my sleep apnea a week and a half ago. And when I did the sleep test a few weeks ago, I stopped breathing an average of 35 times per hour. And my oxygen levels went down to 74%. So that's considered severe sleep apnea. Now, my CPAP tells me every morning when I wake up how many incidents I had. And I've still been averaging 1 to 3 incidents per hour on average every night. So that's a heck of a lot better than 35, but I'm still not getting real, actual, interrupted sleep every night, going through every phase of the sleep cycle. So I'm still pretty tired all the time. I did get through yesterday without a nap, which was very exciting. And in the week and a half that I've had the CPAP, about half the days I can get through without a nap, and the days that I do need to take a nap, my naps have been shorter, which is good. I used to need about an hour and a half nap pretty much every single day just to get through the day. And now the days that I've needed a nap, it's usually closer to an hour, but that's a whole other side topic, and I'm getting distracted. I think one of my statistics here we go. It is estimated that 10% of people in the US have a medical condition which could be considered a type of invisible disability. So no matter how alone you may feel with your invisible disability, about 1 in 10 people have some type of invisible disability. Now, it may not be the same one that you're experiencing, but I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of nobody understands what it's like. And for me, that's partly been just how tired I am all the time, thanks to my sleep apnea. You know, nobody really appreciates, just how hard it is just to stay awake and be functional and try to focus and whatnot. Somebody recently said, you just stay awake because you have to. Well, I wish I could. I really wish I could just force myself to stay awake and focus on my work all day. But I just, as of right now, am physically not capable of that a lot of days. So, like I said, hopefully the CPAP will help. But I think my bipolar disorder is the bigger invisible disability that I have. And one statistic I found on that, there was a study that showed it gauges how impaired your daily life is by mental illnesses. And so with bipolar disorder, 17.1% of people with bipolar disorder had moderate impairment, and 82.9% of people with bipolar disorder had serious impairment. If you add it up, that adds up to 100%, which means nobody, according to this study, with bipolar disorder was only mildly impaired. Everybody is moderately to severely impaired. Now, right now, while I'm pretty well controlled, I don't feel severely impaired, although I certainly have in the past. But I think a lot of people in my life, they know that I'm doing better than I have before. And I think they think that I'm just perfectly fine and normal. As long as I take my meds and go to therapy, Jennifer's fine. But they don't see what goes on inside my head, how much effort it takes to stay feeling fine. It's not just take my meds, go to therapy, and everything's fine. It's anytime I have a bad day, I fear, I avoid my emotions a lot as sort of a safety mechanism. Because anytime I have a bad day, I fear that one bad day will lead to another, which will lead to severe depression where I don't want to live anymore. So I kind of put on this fake happy face as much as I possibly can. I try to do that on my channel and also in my real life. I try to avoid any negative feelings because I fear that it will lead to a bad depression. And I don't think that's really healthy to try to avoid my emotions as much as possible and force a smile onto my face and pretend everything's fine when it's not necessarily. And on the flip side of that, I worry about having a hypomanic episode, which the thing about bipolar disorder that a lot of people don't understand is people think you're either happy or sad. That's not necessarily the case, and certainly not with me. My up episodes usually kind of show themselves as me having really big ideas that I'm super passionate about. Nobody can convince me otherwise. And I tend to make really bad decisions that often cost me a lot of money and cause me a lot of problems. So anytime I get excited about anything, I fear that excitement is mania. And I grew up in the Denver area, and 2 years ago, I moved to Central Illinois. And when I had that idea, I had to talk to a whole lot of people and talk about the pros and cons and make sure, am I making this decision from a calm, rational place, or is this a manic decision that could blow up in my face? So regardless of whether I'm feeling happy, sad, excited, upset, I can't ever, I don't want to say trust my emotions, but I guess that's kind of it. I can never kind of trust how I'm truly feeling because I don't know if my mood disorder with the bipolar disorder is affecting my feelings. Anyway, this video is getting really long, just talking about myself. So I want to talk more about some statistics about invisible illnesses. And that can include physical illnesses or mental illnesses. And all the statistics I talk about are going to be in the description box below, which I think I already said. I'm rambling a lot today, sorry. But a few statistics about mental health. An estimated 19.1% of US adults had any anxiety disorder in the past year. That's almost 1 in 5 people. So, you know, as you can tell by my name, Awkward Anxious Jennifer, I definitely deal with anxiety myself. And if you deal with anxiety, you're in good company. It's the most common mental illness in America, and nearly 1 in 5 people deal with anxiety. Now, you know, so that's an invisible illness. Most of the time, you're not going to be able to tell that, you know, the person in front of you in line at the grocery store is also dealing with anxiety. Depression is another one of the most common mental disorders in the United States. And around 17.3 million adults in the US had at least one major depressive episode last year. And so in 2017, an estimated 11 million US adults aged 18 or older had at least one major depressive episode with severe impairment. And then, so yeah, then the bipolar disorder. And yeah, I don't want to get too bogged down in statistics. I think I've babbled on long enough today. So the one thing that I wanted to say is, let's, you know, obviously I can't replace Chronically Jaquie, but I do want to help build up a community, you know, in the comments below. Let's try to build a community of support where we support each other through whatever invisible illness we're all dealing with. And hopefully you all can find other people to relate to, connect to, talk to, that understand what it's like to deal with things that nobody else understands on the outside world. You know, with depression, you know, before I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, when I was just diagnosed with depression, I was told, just stop feeling sorry for yourself. And that's one of the reasons that I started my channel, because nobody should have to hear that. Nobody should have to hear, just stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're exaggerating. You know, your symptoms aren't that bad. You're lazy. You're making excuses. Nobody should have to hear that. And the only way we can overcome that is through awareness. So if you relate to anything in this video, please feel free to share it far and wide so we can try to spread awareness of invisible illnesses, chronic illnesses, mental illnesses. Oh, and it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm going to try to do videos pretty much every day this month. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, this video is too long already. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you found some value in this video. Be kind to one another and hang in there. No matter how bad things seem today, tomorrow could be the turning point for you. I'm proof of that. And I'll do a video about my my mental health journey and how I came from wanting to die to finally doing what I love and feeling pretty good most days. So anyway, I will talk to you all later. Have a great day. Bye.